Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about how I found love at a later age. So it's part 2 of my up close and personal series. So if you're interested, just keep watching. Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Today, as I mentioned before, I wanted to talk to you all about finding love at a later age. And my husband and I guess, love story is a little bit unorthodox, I would say. We met through social media, and we knew each other 2 years before we actually started dating regularly. And so I want to take you back to the place where I was when we first started talking. So as I mentioned, I met my husband through social media. I would say that I was probably the aggressor, which means I befriended him, and we just started to talk from there. And he lived in a different town than I did. And at that time, if you've watched any of my other videos or perhaps my testimony, you know that I closed a lot of doors as far as like friends and relationships that I deem sinful for me. And so I was really looking for someone who wasn't about that drinking or club life. Now, had I completely washed that out of my system? Not at that time. And on occasion, I would go out with my friends and, date other people, but I always felt like it just wasn't there for me. Something always kept me from really getting attached to somebody. And as I said, my husband and I met through social media, and we were friends to begin with. We were friends, and he was there for me actually through some of the dumb relationships that I went through. And he was really there for me when I needed a friend. And we would communicate by phone, we would text, we would send each other messages on the social media platform and whatnot. And I think for me, a lot of my hesitation with anybody was that God was very in my life at this point, and I always felt like nobody was really equally yoked with me. It was always something, there was always something there holding me back, and I didn't have a comfort level. Now, the other obstacle in my relationship or friendship with my husband, my now husband, was that we lived in 2 separate cities. And I know it was a big thing for me. I'm sure it was a big thing for him. We didn't feel like, nobody at that point, I think, wanted to think about moving, or I know I didn't. I had a wonderful career. I was very comfortable with my life. I didn't need anybody. I had a really good job. And, when I say need, I mean need to take care of me. I could take care of myself. I didn't need somebody to provide anything for me. And I thank God for that, because I feel like a lot of times in my life, in my past relationships, before I really strengthened my relationship with God. I really felt like there was always a connection to somebody through monetary means. And it was always, either living with somebody to split the rent, or just to help out, or just, to go out with, to pay for dinner, to pay for, whatever. And I had reached a point in my life before I met my husband that I didn't need that anymore. I didn't need somebody to do anything for me. I was pretty well taken care of. And, again, I just give the reverence to God, because He helped me to get where I needed to get so that I could make good choices in my life. And ladies, I'm just going to tell you right here and right now that you should never pursue a man who is not pursuing you. I have been the type of person that I wait to be texted. I wait to be called. And when I say wait, I'm not waiting by the phone, but I'm not going to take the initiative to begin that communication, because I feel like if somebody wants to be with you, they're going to text you, they're going to call you, they're going to keep that communication line going. And, I heard back from several people who would say, wow, you never call me, you never text me, are you even interested in me? And my answer was, well, when you call me and you text me, do I not text you back? And they would say yes. And I'd say, okay, well, to me, that's your job. You are to take the initiative if you want this to work. And so that's one thing. I never chased anybody. I never wanted to, be that aggressor in the relationship. I felt like if that person wanted to be in my life, they would be. So even though I friended my husband on social media, I kind of let him determine when he wanted to meet me, when he would talk to me or text me. And I just went on with life as usual. As I said, we lived in two separate towns that are more than an hour apart. I wasn't interested in moving, so we just were kind of like friends, After about a year, he asked me out on a date. Finally, I know it's a year later. And I said okay, and he came to my town because where I lived before is bigger than where we live now, and so there was a whole lot more to do. And so he came down, and that was the first time we met in person. Like I said, we would talk, we would text, we would do, all of the things that two friends would do, I guess, but hadn't met. And so we went to concert, and when I say concert, it was Gabriel Iglesias. It was the fluffy, so it's not really a concert, it was more like a comedian tour, show. That's what it was, a show. And so we went to that, and we had a really good time. It was kind of like a group date, so a lot of his cousins went as well. And, that was nice because it made me feel like, there were other people there, and the conversation, was there. And so anyway, we went to the concert, and, like I said, that was the first time we met. And then I didn't see him again for another year. And it was just funny because I don't know. Like I said, I let him determine the path that we were going to take. And so this was just, him. And so we didn't see each other for another year. But then, we still were friends. We still talked. We still text. We still, Facebook, MySpace, everything. We were just in that way. And, I would date, but nothing serious or anything like that. I mean, every time he would call me or text me, we would talk. It wasn't anything that I felt like I had to not talk to him with somebody else. But we ended up then talking. This was like we went on a date in 2011, a second date in 2012, and then finally in 2013, we really started then dating. And so it was just, again, like I said, it was something that he was comfortable with. And again, I wasn't going to push something that wasn't there or that needed time to develop. Now, I will tell you that I wanted to be married. I wanted to be married. I wanted to be in a union with someone. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to, live this life by myself. I definitely wanted to be with somebody, and just not anybody, but I wanted to be with somebody. And again, that heaviness of not being equally yoked was always in the back of my mind, and always something that I felt like, okay, God, I want this, but I want it to be how you want it to be. I don't want it to be out of my loneliness. I don't want it to be out of my, just my will. I wanted his will and his plan for my life. And I think another thing that really held me back too, with people that I talked to other than, my husband now, who was just a friend then, with other people, was that if you saw my last up close and personal, you know that I cannot have children. And that was another thing that really kind of held me back, because I thought, if I meet somebody and they don't have kids, I didn't want to deprive them from that privilege of having a child. I felt like I needed to find somebody who already had kids and that was okay with not having any more kids. But, as I mentioned, that just my husband now didn't have kids. And again, that was something that worried me. It worried me because I thought, I don't want to be in this relationship with somebody who one day is going to want to have kids, and I'm not going to be able to do that. And anyway, we ended up finally dating seriously. And my husband really wasn't a person that was tied to any type of religion or relationship with God. And I felt like, I wasn't sure why I allowed myself to get so involved with the one thing that I was so concerned about, and trust and believe that every night when I would go to bed, God heard my petitions. Lord, this is what I want. Lord, this is what I want. And it's strange because when I took the focus off of what I wanted, when I stopped thinking about, I want to be married, I want to get married. And I remember I would tell my niece, and she can attest to this, every year I would tell my niece, this is my year. This is my year. This is the year I'm going to get married. This is the year that, I am going to find the right person, and we're going to get married. And I think it's really important to be happy by yourself. I feel like you have to find yourself. You have to develop that relationship with God, and you have to be self-sustained. Like I said, I didn't need anybody. Did I want somebody? Absolutely. Did I feel like God could fill that space in my heart? Absolutely. I felt when I came to Christ and I accepted him as my Lord and Savior, the months following that were the best months of my life, the best days. I was joyful, I was happy, I was everything. And I would say, Lord, if this happiness and joy that I have, if that could include somebody, then great. But if not, then just let me be at peace with it. Just let me not want that. Take that desire from my heart. But God is so good, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I didn't want to be with somebody who was all about themselves, because trust me, I dated those men who were all about themselves and very cocky and very, it's not even confidence, it's straight out arrogance. And I didn't want that. I didn't want somebody who was all about themselves, who I just didn't want that in my life. And so every night I would pray and I would tell God exactly what I wanted. I want someone who's kind. I want someone who loves you. I want someone who will put you first even before me. And I think as the months went by, as I started to be joyful in my season, I forgot about it. I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. Yeah, we talk to guy friends. Yeah, we go to the movies. Yeah, we do stuff, hang out. But I didn't feel lonely anymore. And it's crazy because the minute I stopped focusing so much of my heart and mind on this person, it happened. And it's strange because, like I said, I was happy on my own. I could support myself. I didn't need anybody. And as I mentioned, my husband was did not have a relationship with God. And I'm so thankful that through my example of living, he made the decision to develop a personal relationship with the Lord. And he is the leader of our home, and he prays when we eat, and he prays when, and this was coming from someone, we're going to be married 5 years this year. And I am the happiest I have ever been. I met my husband when I was 43. And so don't give up. Don't give up. Don't think it's not going to happen. I think just pray and stay in prayer and let God be in control of when things happen in your life. And I've just learned that God is so faithful, and that when he knows you're ready, he's going to let it happen. But until then, you have to just keep living your life. Keep being happy in the moment that you're in, and quit trying and reaching for something else that you think is going to make you happy. You have to be happy with yourself, with your life. You have to not need anybody else. And I think that's a perfect place to be. When you meet that person, they will see how independent you are. They see the love that you have for God. And, the last thing that I'm going to tell you guys is that you have to be straight up and just let the person know what your expectations are in the relationship. when I moved here in 2013, so we started dating again in 2012. I'm sorry, I might have said 2013, but we started dating September of 2012. And once we started dating, by the following year, just the distance became too much, and he asked me to move here, and I decided that that was something that I wanted to do. So I gave up everything, and you know, I really had to pray about that too, because I was like, Lord, you know, this man, I don't know. I mean, he's not equally yoked to me, but I so clearly heard God tell me to trust him, and that everything was going to be okay, but that I had to make some things clear. I had to be vocal about what my expectations are. And don't ever be afraid to let a person know what your expectations are, because, you know, I just told him straight off the bat, you know, I said, I will move there, but I will not live in sin. I will give you 6 months to close the deal, pretty much. I'll give you 6 months, but I expect to be married by the end of the 6th month, because I refuse to live in sin. I will not allow this sin in my life anymore. And when you get close to God, and you know he's going to have your back, you know he's going to take care of you, and like I said, he was so instrumental in turning my husband's life around a 180, and he's the most loving, caring, compassionate, God-fearing, God-loving man that I know today. And like I said, our lives are not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. So don't ever give up on thinking that you're not going to find love. But I would encourage you first to find the love for yourself, to find the self-respect, to find the courage to say, you know what, if this doesn't work out, if he doesn't want to, make a commitment, then be okay with walking away, because you have to be true to yourself, and you have to be true to what your expectations are. And like I said, we were married sooner than 6 months. We were married. I moved here in March of 2013, and we were married in September. And so next month will be our 5th year anniversary, and I'm so thankful that for two people who don't have children, who are free to do whatever they want. I'm thankful that that does not entail drinking, that does not entail going out to the club, that nothing that could interfere with our marriage is present in our lives, because those things, although they're fun, and you like to go out with your girlfriends, and you like to let your husband go out with his friends, those things can stand to tear you apart, because you give a little leeway to the enemy, and he tries to rip you apart. And that's why I'm so thankful that everything we do together. Everything we talk about and decisions that we make them together. We confide in each other. We plan things together. We both have our roles in our home. And it has been a really awesome end of life experience, because of course I plan to spend the rest of my life with my husband, and I'm so thankful to God that he gifted this to me, to have that person in my life, and to now be able to live the rest of my, till death do us part, and to live the rest of my life with my husband, and to know that he is the only person in my life that I want to be with. And you have to work through the trials and tribulations. We'll be there. Nothing's perfect, but you have to be two forgiving souls who are determined to work through anything and everything. So anyway, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.